So for the past few months, I've been using multiple cameras on video shoots and photography gigs. And I want to talk to you guys today about those and which ones I would choose based on the three that I have in front of me. So B&H was nice enough to send out some mirrorless cameras that I wanted to try out. I have the EOS R from Canon and Sony's A73. So basically the same price range. I was looking for mirrorless options. Now I use the Canon 5D Mark IV, which is a DSLR. One of the major drawbacks from the 5D Mark IV that had me looking at mirrorless options is an electric viewfinder. Now with a DSLR, you're just getting a mirrored image and you're not seeing what your settings are doing. You're not seeing your ISO adjustments, your shutter speed, anything until you take a photo. So with some of the projects that I'm doing, I would like to be able to look through an EVF and make my adjustments and know that's the photo I'm going to see once I hit the shutter button. So the majority of what I'm going to be talking about right now really isn't going to involve video. Both the EOS R and the Sony A73 do fantastic for video. Both of them for video, I don't think you can really go wrong either way. Personally, I would probably go with the EOS R if we're talking strictly video because it has the flip out screen, which I think is huge for video. But when it comes to photography, it's okay. You can use it, when you're going up a little bit. But the Sony one for photography is perfectly fine with the articulating, not the flip out. But back to photography. So I've done prom pictures, senior pictures. I've done a family event last weekend for a man that turned 90 years old. And in that was also family photos. So they had the family all together for this event, and they also wanted to get family photos while I was there. So I also did a behind the scenes photo event for USA Today for a high school sports award show that they put on. My choices are, like I said, the EOS R, A73, and the 5D Mark IV. I gravitated to the 5D Mark IV and the A73, and basically for one major reason. I really enjoyed shooting with the EOS R. I like the way it feels, I like the weight of it, I really like everything about it. Once I got the buttons set up to how I preferred, it was really a joy to shoot with, except it only has one card slot. And I know a lot of people on the internet are on both sides of it, and a lot of people say, oh, you don't need a dual card slot, you don't need it, blah, blah, blah. Personally, if you're doing a paid gig, you have to have redundancy when it comes to photography. But even on a family side, my friend Tomas Villegas went out of the country. He has the A7 III, and one of his SD cards failed. It was corrupted, all his family photos gone. And he tweeted this, and the first thing I thought is like, man, I hope he was using the A7 III with redundancy. And his next tweet was, hey, I didn't lose all the pictures because I had 2 SD card slots. I mean, things like that, you could lose a client and you could lose all of your family memories from a trip like that. So to me, every camera, and I'm sorry to say this, every camera, when you get to the plus $1,200 to $1,500 range, needs to have a dual card slot. That's just what it is. For me, the EOS R, if you're going to look into making money with photography, you need a dual card slot. So to me, the EOS R, I can't recommend for photography. Video, yes, all day long, fantastic. I'm a Canon fanboy. That's what hurts me so bad that I don't like this, because I would love to get an EOS R. Maybe the next version, or maybe their next mirrorless version or something will have dual card slots, and then that will be my choice. But as of right now, if I had to choose between these two, it'd be the A7 III. One major downside of the A7 III is the EVF is horrible. The quality in it is really bad. Everything looks grainy and pixelated, and I've taken some shots where I'm like, oh my goodness, that looks horrible. And then you look at it, at least on the back screen, it looks good. You get it back to the computer, and it looks fantastic. So if I had to choose and money's not an option, I would go with the A9. A9 has just about the same exact specifications with a few more like frames per second shots and stuff like that's up more, but basically the same as the A7 III, except for the EVF is way better from what I've heard. I haven't tried the A9 yet. I'm thinking about getting that one in next. I've really enjoyed shooting with the A7 III. That event I did, the behind the scenes event I did for USA Today, I used the 5D Mark IV and the A7 III. I didn't bring the EOS R on any of these event trips or any of these paid gigs, because one, I just didn't want to have a third camera in my bag for no reason, and two, I knew I would never use it. So of course the A73 is fantastic in low light. Image stabilization, it's got built-in image stabilization, so that helps out a lot, especially in low light. But one thing that I really found that I really enjoy, and this has the G Master 24-70 on it, so some really good glass as well, so that helps, especially native for autofocus. But there was an update since I've had this where the eye autofocus is just, it's next level, it's out of this world. I wish every camera had that, but yeah, so it's great. So what I chose to do is I still use my 5D Mark IV with the 70-200 lens on it. This is pretty much how I would go out to the events, this setup. And I'd use the 70-200 to try to stay away from things a little bit, or really a lot of portraits I would do with the 70-200. But if I got into a large setting, obviously I'd go 24mm on the Sony. But even the family photos, as I was talking about before with that event, I would use the Sony, because the autofocus on the Sony, I mean, you put it to face priority. Like, I had some photos with 10 to 15 people in the frame, and it's picking out. Now, it didn't grab every face, but it grabbed enough in different dimensions and different planes to make everything tack sharp. So it's a joy to use. Like, I can't even say that enough. And at sub $2,000, this is a no-brainer for me. This is what I would recommend to people over the EOS R at this time. Like I said, there's a lot of features in it. The eye autofocus, EOS R has eye autofocus, but it is nothing. It is a redheaded stepchild compared to A73. So really that's about it. Just a very quick video. Again, B&H nice enough to send these out for me to check out, so big thanks to them. If you guys have any questions about these three cameras or any gear you'd like me to pick up to review, let me know down in the comment section. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. I will talk to you guys in the next one.